I would say it's very important to keep life simple and get enough rest in the period between the eclipse of the 26th of May and this upcoming eclipse of the 10th of June. And I would definitely say it's be open to inspiration, because I feel I've had loads. And watch out for the aspects. Uranus, planet of revolution, in this eclipse is smashing Saturn, consolidation planet. Chiron is square Venus. Remember what I said, watch out for my Venus comments coming up below. We've already talked about how Venus was conjunct Rahu on the 18th of May. And Neptune is aspecting Sun, Moon and Mercury. Very important point, Ketu, the south node of this eclipse, is actually conjunct the star Antares, belligerent and pugnacious with risk of war, anger, explosion. And then when you add to it the fact that Mars is opposite Saturn and Uranus is T-square the two, Uranus is square Mars, Uranus is square Saturn, this does not look nice. A very big violence could occur. And with Rahu aspecting Saturn at this time, driven energies, overload, and yet fear and insecurity. Important to note that this eclipse conjuncts Donald Trump's natal Sun conjunct Rahu, which is at 27 degrees Taurus, and which opposes his Moon conjunct Ketu at 27 degrees Scorpio. So this will result in a huge power urge and success urge in Donald Trump. Okay, let's go on to the full moon, which is on the 24th of June. So the moon is at 9 Vedic Sagittarius in Mula Nakshatra. Sun is opposite at 9 Gemini in Ardra Nakshatra. Mula is ruled by Ketu, Ardra is ruled by Rahu. There could be a very fated dimension to this full moon. And the aspects, my God, Pluto is opposite Venus, Mars is opposite Saturn, Uranus is T-square, Saturn opposition Mars. There's a retrograde effect from 4 planets. Jupiter, Saturn and Pluto are all retrograde. Neptune is stationing and thus super powerful. And preparing to turn retrograde in a couple of days later on June the 26th. The nakshatras of this full moon both have violent potential, frustration, anger, and imperiousness. Okay, let's go on to the Sun. Sun starts June, it's 17 degrees Taurus, indeed conjunct Rahu, ambitious, me first. Sun enters Gemini on the 15th of June, and Sun ends the month of June at 15 degrees Gemini. So in terms of nakshatras, the Sun starts June in Rohini Nakshatra, ruled by the Moon, and enters Mrigashira Nakshatra, ruled by Mars, on the 8th of June. And then on the 22nd of June, Sun enters the my way or the highway energy of Rahu, of Ardra Nakshatra, ruled by Rahu. Goodness. There are a few more details in the blog. Sun conjunct Mercury retrograde on June the 7th. Sun square Neptune for many days, centering on the 14th of June. Will you be fooled by the Pied Piper? Or will you get needed vision and inspiration? June the 21st is summer solstice. It's 4:31 in the morning here in Ireland. And there's a bit of detail about that in the blog. Mercury turned retrograde on May the 30th and continues retrograde until June the 22nd. So there'll be all the usual postage and IT challenges, and how bad these will be will depend on the Mercury issues in your birth chart. But an increasing twist to Mercury retrograde's tail these times is of course cyber hacking. Ireland's in a terrible mess as its HSE records, its health and safety executive records, have all been hacked. And the hackers will now begin to sell off everybody's patient data. Hospital appointments and administration are in a terrible mess. Okay, Venus. Well, Venus has been very special and potentially pretty awful, but potentially very healing. So basically, Venus was transiting through Taurus and transited exactly conjunct Rahu, the North Node, the exact being on May the 18th. Now, this gave a driven and even dark energy and great power to Venus. And of course, Venus is super strong anyway because it rules Taurus. So I know from working with many clients that this raised Venus scripts in an inescapable way in their lives. But the point is, such sudden strong energy flows and realizations can be used to heal you, to heal me. That's the point. And Venus continues super strong until June the 23rd. Not as strong as it was on May the 18th, but it continues super strong until June the 23rd because it's out of bounds. In other words, it's higher than the latitude degree of the Sun. And so until June the 23rd, your Venus energy could be the romantic, the artistic, the extravagant, or the hedonistic. How strongly this super strong Venus energy will manifest? Well, it won't affect everybody. It'll particularly affect you if your Venus is in the Vedic signs of Taurus or Libra, or in the Venus-ruled nakshatras of Bharani, Purva Palguni, and Purva Ashada. There, those people have Venus lessons to experience and learn at this time. Few more points in the blog. Indeed, just note that around the 12th of June, Venus is the apex planet of a yard, and the base of the yard is K2 sextile Saturn. Well, that's a very fated energy to express itself through the apex planet of the yard, Venus. And note that Venus is conjunct Chiron in the heavens at this time. We can experience our Venus wounds and heal them. Okay, Mars. Well, my goodness, Mars enters Vedic Cancer from the 2nd of June, and Mars is debilitated in Cancer, so it expresses his energy in a more modelled, hurt, angry, frustrated, emotional way. But the twist to the tale is that Saturn is opposite Mars in Vedic Capricorn. So the frustration and anger will be horrible. Recognise it if it is coming up in yourself. Don't take it out on your loved one and then tell him or her, well, it's all your fault. It's you who's being angry, not me. Because that would be typical of this situation. And at a more sinister level, Cancer is actually the 8th house of the chart of the United States. Mars is transiting the 8th. Saturn is opposing the 8th. And the power of this one is mounting steadily into July 2021. Now, coupled with the underlying Pluto return of the USA also at the same time, the USA will have to be quite careful not to manage this energy in a destructive and undemocratic way, but to bring healing and proper expression of power for the government and for the people. So Mars will not at all be, June will not at all be an easy month for Cancer natives. Indeed, it's not just Saturn opposite Mars in June, it's Pluto and Saturn opposite Mars. Whew. There could be explosive events. Pluto is exactly opposite Mars on June the 5th. Okay, well, let's go forward to Jupiter. Jupiter is transiting Vedic Aquarius, which is ruled by Saturn, but Jupiter turns retrograde from June the 20th to October the 18th. Jupiter spends June at 7 and 8 degrees Aquarius. Now Jupiter is in Shatabhishak Nakshatra at this time of June 2021. And I say a little bit about that in a moment. But another big point is that Jupiter is casting an aspect to Libra at this time, so that's very good with people with major planets in Libra. Although Jupiter is not strong in dignity at this time because it's in a Saturn-ruled sign. So I've actually done a separate video and blog about how to increase the Jupiter presence in your life. I've also done a separate video and blog about how to manage the immensity of the power of Saturn, indeed Saturn retrograde in your life now. So when Jupiter is retrograde, we have to make a special effort to maintain our connection to blessing, insight, guru connection and sense of purpose. And with Jupiter retrograde at the same time, we'll be called to examine carefully our beliefs and review whether some of the spiritual systems we have been brought into are really and truly correct for us and good for us or not. A bit more on Jupiter recession. Note that when Jupiter returns to Vedic Capricorn from the 14th of September 2021, indeed until the 20th of November 2021 when Jupiter re-enters Aquarius, I believe this will tip world economies into recession. You see, Jupiter already transited Vedic Capricorn and is going to dip back into it again. Now, the last time that happened, 12 years ago, was 2008, because the Jupiter orbit is 12 years. And what happened in 2008? Well, round here, the Celtic Tiger bubble burst. Unemployment in Ireland went to 15%. There's quite a number of McMansions just standing empty and half finished round here. The owners had to run from the country to avoid the debts. There's a village near here which has an immense number of such. It's not looking good now. I mean, in December just gone, 2020, due to coronavirus, there's been a downturn definitely here in Ireland, and 19.4% unemployed in Ireland in December. So, I mean, no doubt the government will try to make stupidly optimistic comments and the building societies will say, buy the houses. But I feel recession will certainly dip into being from this September. A last point about Jupiter is that Jupiter transits into Shatabhishak Nakshatra on May the 21st. And Jupiter stays in Shatabhishak Nakshatra until late July, indeed returning to Shatabhishak in January the 1st after its retrograde that I've just told you about. Now, Shatabhishak is a very mixed nakshatra, but Jupiter there will amplify the healing and metaphysical energies of Shatabhishak. And this could be a beneficial energy for all of us, because at its highest level, Shatabhishak is all about developing healer energies. Saturn. Well, I'm not going into too much detail because I've spoken a lot about Saturn already, but it is retrograde from May the 23rd to October the 17th in Vedic Capricorn. And certainly the call therefore is consolidation, burning of our karma, and fear and anxiety. And just a note about Saturn and Jupiter, each of them is casting an aspect into the Vedic sign of Libra. And that's super fortunate for those people who have major planets in Vedic Libra. And of course, in addition, Uranus is opposite Vedic Libra in Vedic Aries, spawning revolutionary change for these blessed Librans. So Uranus, well, as I said, it's transiting Vedic Aries, it's square Saturn in Vedic Capricorn, so that is the storming of the Bastille revolutionary energy meets the prison walls, socially and individually. The tension, friction and irritation will feel awful. Restrictions, structures and blocks are under attack. So we must manage our consciousness and our life at this time. See how we're feeling. Look within. Get guidance as to what needs to change at this time of Uranus smashing against Saturn. Absolutely remember that the last time Uranus was in Vedic Aries, it saw Hitler's rise to power and his bringing in of World War II. And as I've said, there are quite a number of war hotspots at the moment, and it doesn't look so good for President Biden because Uranus will oppose Mars in the chart of President Biden. And at that very same time, Uranus on top of Biden's Mars is square Saturn one way and square Mars in the heavens the other way. That's very, very, very big violence bearing down on his Mars. Neptune transits from 28 to 29 degrees Vedic Aquarius, Purvabhadra Nakshatra, soon to enter Vedic Pisces, I think it's April next year. And this can offer such wonderful vision work, but be careful of illusion, delusion and being tricked and misled by Pied Pipers. Pluto is retrograde at 2 degrees Capricorn all month in Uttarashada Nakshatra. Saturn is also in Capricorn, and so ever since the winter solstice of the 21st of December 2020, or rather a few days later on the 31st of December 2020 when Pluto entered Capricorn to meet Saturn and Jupiter there. Pluto, atomic power, has been simmering and exploding. We can't ignore that. I do online Pluto readings of your birth chart, accompanied in the same reading session with a journey to the abyss, where we meet the keeper of the abyss and shed our shadow material of our wounds, our guilt, our secrets, all these things, these heavy weights that are blocking us from easily and fully receiving the full light of the divine through Kether, our crown chakra. It's a wonderful journey. It's in my website. So Chiron is transiting 18 to 19, retrograde 18 to 19 Vedic Pisces in Revati Nakshatra. Now obviously that's opposite Virgo, and I want to say I've had so many clients, for example with Chiron in Virgo, who have had unbelievably magnificent healing breakthroughs at this time of Chiron opposition their natal Chiron. You know, you wouldn't believe the evidence I could give. So, Rahu North Node transits from 16 to 15 degrees Vedic Taurus in June in Rohini Nakshatra. Of course, it's it's aspecting Saturn in Capricorn, great tension, extremely different nature, fear, confusion. Ketu, the South Node, goes from 16 degrees Taurus to 15 degrees Taurus in Jyesta Nakshatra. So it's been a huge whistle-stop tour, but it's so worth knowing what the energies are. You can book an astrology reading with me at my Starwheel Astrology buy page. My wife, Maggie Pashley, offers a huge range of healing modalities worldwide and face-to-face here in Sligo. And so you can look at her website, www.maggiepashley.com. And as I said, this video and blog is part of our June 2021 newsletter with quite a number of parts starting the month and more to come. And you can see the list of the parts and the links to click to on our Starwheel Astrology 2021 June page. So I hope you have survived the trip, and I wish you an exalted response to these unacceptably weird times. Thank you.